For some of us, it's a longing deep inside we probably ignored. The trip is expensive, don't have the time, not sure where to go. But in part two of Going Back to Africa, we continue on the journey of Shazel Muhammad. AfricanAncestry.com, through maternal DNA, pinpointed where she is from in Africa, Sierra Leone. She is there, welcomed, embraced, feels the love, and she's about to get her African name. Let's join the ceremony right now on Blackland.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
That's not fiction. Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom. Where we are.
Oh my God. Get on the ground.
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
We have Shazel Muhammad Nia. You? Yes. All right. You belong to the Mbome family. Mbome. Yes. Your traditional name is Manu Mbome. Manu.
When I got my name, I was just kind of overcome because the name I was given was Manu. And Manu, yes. And Manu, the meaning of Manu is someone who forgives again and again, is often forgiving over and over and over again.
Manu is somebody who always forgive. You forgive people. You have mercy on people. Yeah. You always have mercy on people.
You don't like it?
And when the village elder shared that meaning, I just broke down in tears and I'm just like crying, a sobbing mess. And he's like, "What's wrong? Don't you like it?" I'm like, "Yes."
Shazel Muhammad more than liked it. It was so her, something she's been told almost criticized for all her life.
But I love it because it's so similar to a name I had been given since I was a very little girl, which is Nunu, and a characteristic that my mother has warned me for my whole life. You're too nice. You forget people too quickly. You're too nice. Stop being so nice. And I tell you, as a child, when I was around 11 or 12 years old, I tried to be meaner. I did. And I was like, I'm going to be tough and I'm not going to be so nice. And I tried and I could not do it. I was like, oh, well, that's just not for me. God protect me from those who try to take advantage. And to be given this name, it was just like, what? How? How is that possible if not for the convening of the ancestors that know me, right? So we have this long line of lineage of ancestors that we don't know their names, but they know us. This is what I believe. And they were there, they showed up, and they touched the village elders who gave me that name. They touched them with that name to give to me. That's what I was meant to have. It's just a moment that, it's just a moment that will resonate with me for the rest of my life.
And the access the group had was impressive. A special meeting with the president of Sierra Leone, Dr. Julius Mata Bio. But listen to the names he calls out to a Black American crowd who knows these names, like Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Philando Castile, George Floyd.
With Jamal Black, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Philando Castile, George Floyd, and Dante Wright.
The names of the dead killed in this country and how Black lives may not matter to all in America, but they do there.
The profound fear and trauma, the pain, the exhaustion that Black and brown Americans experience every single day in the United States of America. But here, all lives matter.
We at least had 3 different events with the president, which, right, it was meaningful. It was very meaningful. One, to have that level of access is really unheard of. How many of us Black Americans in this country have ever met with the president? So to be welcomed in that level of true connection, and to be welcomed by the head of the country, the head of state, and he gave us our passports. He himself handed us each our passports. I thought that was really impactful. Some of the other things that we did, we met with young people. We talked with students. We met with them. They sang for us. We watched them and have classes. And the classes were outside under a big shade tree. It was so amazing. We spoke at a local radio station and shared our stories. We shopped and supported local vendors. You know, we were awarded dual citizenship. And let me tell you, Vanessa, about dual citizenship is the type of citizenship that we have. It's as if we never left. It's not as if we were, for example, naturalized. It's as if we never left. We have full citizenship, full rights of citizenship. And when President Matabio was doing the presentation to us, that's one of the things he said. He said, "You are home."
I now declare each one of you citizens of this our noble and great country, Sierra Leone.
The journey to Africa is part of the increasingly popular heritage tourism journeys, something AfricanAncestry.com specializes in. Dr. Gina Paige says it's part of finding where you're from far beyond the slave story.
And so the work that African Ancestry does is to use DNA to help answer that question in very specific ways.
Now, we remember the incredibly popular Ghana Year of the Return. Where else are African Americans returning?
Oh, wow. You know, heritage tourism is a growing market. And so African Americans and people of African descent across the world are traveling not just to Ghana, but to countries like Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Nigeria, and then even countries outside of West Africa, like South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Zanzibar. You know, that's not a country, but Zanzibar. And so we're seeing an influx or an increase of travel to the continent. But from an African ancestry perspective, we're particularly excited about our African ancestry family reunions. These are specially curated journeys home for people to visit not just the continent, but the actual places and ethnic groups that they share ancestry with.
When you do the DNA testing, do you find that there is a place where many of the African American descendants of slavery here would trace their roots?
When we do DNA testing, we find results across West Africa and across the continent, quite honestly. So we found results in 27 African countries, but the majority of the results come from West and Central Africa. And then within that, the top countries are present-day Guinea-Bissau, present-day Sierra Leone, present-day Cameroon, and present-day Nigeria.
I was going to ask, would Nigeria top the list?
Yeah, it's up there. It's definitely up there, which makes sense, right? Because Nigeria is the most populous country on the continent.
Talk about the trip. How much preparation is needed for African Americans to make these visits?
There's so much preparation that goes into traveling to Africa, depending on your mindset. So if you've never traveled to Africa before, you probably have some preconceived notions about what that entails. And so at African Ancestry, we make sure that we help people understand the process step by step, from basics like you have to have a passport, or your passport can't expire within 6 months of when you plan to return from the trip. Walking people through getting their visas, making sure people understand the types of immunizations that are required versus the types of immunizations that are optional. And then we talk a lot about the culture, what to expect when you travel to a country. One of the worst things we can do, and I think as Americans, we're guilty of this, just Americans in general, is having a very American-centric view when we travel. And the rest of the world is not America. And so being conscious of going into new communities and adapting to the way that those communities act and socialize so that we don't impose our Americanness, I'll say, in other places in the world, particularly in the African countries we visit. So, there's some mindset preparation that has to go on. There's some financial preparation that has to happen, as well as some cultural preparation that has to happen.
Dr. Paige, we're all in. So, what should we do now?
What you should do next is go to africanancestry.com and order a matriclan test kit or a patriclan test kit. One kit traces your mother's lineage, traces your father's lineage, and we go back 2,000 years. So we're definitively placing your ancestry prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And because this key word here is lineage, so when one person takes a test to trace, for example, their maternal lineage, like Chazelle did, she traced her maternal lineage, everybody on Chazelle's family on her maternal line shares the results. So when she did it for her children, her grandchildren, her siblings, her nieces, her nephews, her mother, her aunts, her uncles, her cousins, everybody in the family on your maternal line, everybody that comes from Big Mama, now knows where they're from. So this is a family project that requires just one person to take the test. And Vanessa, we are living in a time where people are extremely concerned, and rightfully so, about what happens with their DNA. We see it in the news right now. We hear it, we've been hearing it for decades as Black people. AfricanAncestry.com is the only company that does not sell or share our customers' DNA. We do not do that. We cannot do that because our lab destroys it once we've determined your result. So we don't want fear to be the reason that Black people don't know who they are. And so we've put every step in place to make sure that you can feel comfortable that we'll handle your DNA with respect and integrity and then destroy it.
Let's talk about the cost. The cost to get the DNA, the average cost of a trip, so people can have in their heads, okay, I want to do this, but what does it cost?
Okay, so the cost, let's talk about the value and the cost, Vanessa, because I think sometimes at our price point, which is $299, people sometimes feel like, oh my God, why does it cost so much? $299 is the same as a designer bag, as a pair of, the latest sneakers, as concert tickets. So it's really about the value of learning information that can serve your entire family today and into future generations. So to take one test costs $299. Again, the result you get is the same for everyone on your maternal line who descends from your grandmother or her mother. So when you think about that as the family project that it is, then, the value becomes even more evident. It's priceless. What value can you put on knowing your identity and having your children and your grandchildren and their children come into the world knowing that they share ancestry with the Mandinka people living in Senegal today? The Mandinka are the griots of the culture. They are the keepers of the oral tradition of communities through storytelling and music. In terms of our trips, they range anywhere from about $45.99 to about $54.99. And it depends on the country, and it depends on, whether you're traveling alone or sharing a room with someone else. But the trips are all inclusive. And so 2 meals a day, 4 to 5-star hotels as where possible, where we go, most places that's completely possible. All of our trip travel during some of the trips, we actually fly to other parts of the country. The only thing we don't cover is tips. You got to tip people on your own. But other than that, it's an all-inclusive experience. And Vanessa, if I may, I would love to make a special offer for the BIN Listening Network.
Yes, please.
So we are offering a 10% discount on any African ancestry test if you use the code BIN 2024.
They say in reality, the journey is priceless. Shazel Muhammad is going back and she's taking young people with her.
Yes, actually, definitely plans to return. And to your point that you just brought up, Vanessa, about taking young people there, that's part of the work that I do. And I know there are other organizations that do that as well. But our nonprofit African Link Initiative, it is an evidence-based identity development program that focuses on youth of African descent and really helping them to transform the way they see their world and their possibilities and potential by transforming first how they see themselves in the past, present, and future, and how they see the continent of Africa. And our program has 3 parts and culminates in a service learning birthright trip for our students to Africa. So it's extraordinarily important
for that, so for people to learn more about that.
Yes, we are africanlink.org. African like the people, link, LINK.org.
Dr. Paige, we're hearing about people doing more than visiting. How many people plan to move there, especially after an experience like this?
Yeah, we've seen people. I mean, I can't quantify. I don't know everything that everyone has done, but we have seen people who have taken our trips, who have moved to the continent, who have purchased land, who have built or are building homes, or who are just renting apartments. So while it's not a large number, it's not most people. There definitely is a group of people that are taking their connection to deepening their connection on the continent. And there are a lot of people who are talking about it, Vanessa. I've noticed, and this is of course anecdotally, but I've noticed many people over just maybe the past 2 or 3 years that have been saying, look, I need to take your test because I need to know where I'm from so I have someplace to go.
I'm wondering, how would we change in this country, the African Americans living in America, if we all made that African pilgrimage?
Whoa, it would be, it's almost unimaginable. Do you know how much power we have as people of African descent? I'm not sure we even understand how much power we have. We have so much power, which is why we were disconnected, which is why we were stripped of our languages so that we couldn't communicate with each other because they knew our power.
And for Blacks here, this could be more than just a cultural vacation. With our American wealth, this also could be an ancestral and business connection, benefiting both ways while improving lives in resource-rich Africa.
So I think if African Americans were to learn where they're from and travel and invest in Africa spiritually, financially, educationally, culturally, the continent would live up to its promise. And we, as Black people, would be forever changed because we know who we are. We have our foundation. Psychologists tell us, they teach us that knowing where you're from is one of the most critical components of knowing who you are. And we're the only group, Vanessa, in this country that doesn't know where we're from.
But we can learn where we're from and where we will always belong.
You have to go.
Join me next time on Blackland. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm Vanessa Tyler. Let me know what you think on Instagram at Vanessa Tyler 1. Remember, a new episode drops every Friday.